Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still watching the potential of some flooding, stream river flooding and flash flooding here in the short term. Some areas locally in the eastern panhandle where there's still that flood watch for the potential of flooding from excessive rain with some of these storms. Timing is 3 p.m. to midnight for the next watch, and locally some areas had flash flood warnings that expired earlier this morning at 7:15 after listing 1.5 to 3 inches of rain that fell with some of those recent thunderstorms. Total over the next 5 days, we will have to time more likely rounds of rain. The highest numbers favor areas, higher elevations, and west of the Allegheny generally. So on top of, again, just another stretch of wet weather this week, I'm watching for rain. Marginal to slight risk of excessive rain today and tonight. This is for localized to scattered flash flooding potential. That's possible. And some isolated severe storms too, generally east. Some isolated damaging winds with any storms that are possible today. Yesterday in Charleston, reported a high of 88 and a trace of rain officially in Charleston yesterday. If you have a break of the rain this morning, there may be some areas of dense fog again, and I'll watch for showers and storms to pop, isolated damaging winds, and some excessive rain with some of the higher rainfall rates here. Fly Zebra forecast, it starts at home. Washington, D.C., 86. Watching for a chance of showers and storms today. From panhandle to panhandle, highs low to mid-80s. Likely chance of showers and storms. To the east, again, some areas have a flood watch, 3 p.m. to midnight tonight. Remember, turn around, don't drown if any flooding pops up. From east to west here, highs 80s, some 70s up in the higher elevations, and to the west in the ranks, the 80s for most spots, as I'm watching chances of showers and storms. We may get a break in the long term on Monday. Until then, there is another front coming in from the northwest, very end of the week and the weekend. Some more timing chances of showers and storms through at least Sunday.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
Well, U.S. men's national team, it was fun while it lasted. Also, who owns the church property? And a federal indictment for a former WVU basketball player. Lots to cover. It's MetroNews Talkline. We're ready to go.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
From the studios of WVRC Media and the Metro News Radio and Television Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talkline with Dave Wilson and TJ Meadows.
Check set lineup link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Cue Dave and TJ. You're on. Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Good morning. Welcome inside the Encova Insurance Studios. Say good morning to our great radio affiliates across the state of West Virginia, or if you're watching in on the Metro News TV app, Facebook Live, YouTube. We appreciate letting us be part of your day. Give us a call at 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. You can text the show at 304-TALK-304. Coming up as the show unfolds this morning, Brad McElhinny will stop by. We'll talk to Kanawha County Delegate J.B. Akers in the second hour. Also, Will Hosaflook, he is the Superintendent of Schools in Jackson County. He's also president of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. They're launching a new campaign to highlight the achievements in public schools, the We Love Public Schools campaign. We'll talk about that coming up second hour. News and notes to check on as well this morning. Say good morning to TJ Meadows in the Encova Insurance Studios in Charleston this morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. We'll talk to Will Hosaflook coming up in the second hour. A little bit of, we have said, I don't know if we have said, I have said at least, doing the local show in this one, not enough attention, not enough focus gets put on what public schools are doing correctly, what they're doing right, and they're going to launch a PR campaign to do that. And I think it's a good move on their part. We'll talk to him come up in the second hour.
Yeah, great move. And I think it is a realization, and you've heard this from Paul Hardesty, that public schools need to compete with the other options. And so this is a little bit, perhaps, I think it could be multiple things, but a little bit of a pep rally to talk about what public schools are doing and how well they are doing it to get that message out. So good move. I look forward to hearing it, and hopefully it raises attention among some of the folks that make policy decisions in this state, because I still believe, as I think you do as well, we need to circle back and figure out, obviously, what's going on with the funding formula. It doesn't work anymore. So how do we move forward with public education, with private education, the HOPE options? How do we make it all work together on the same team? I think that should be the goal here.
That'll come up second hour. Also keeping track of the latest on the massive warehouse fire there in Wood County. Timothy Kennedy is being sentenced this morning on down in Mingo County. Of course, he was found guilty in May for shooting and killing State Police Sergeant Corey Maynard. And we'll be keeping track of that. Daniel and Jack are headed down there for that. So if we get an update from them before the noon hour, we'll get an update on that sentencing. But first, we start with a crazy case involving a former WVU men's basketball player. Kirk Risa has been charged by the FBI with 5 counts of wire fraud and an alleged scheme of $2.2 million. He has an initial hearing scheduled for today in Kentucky. He's going to be extradited back to West Virginia to face those charges. Joining us is the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of West Virginia, Matt Harvey. Matt, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
So, Matt, just walk us through this indictment. 5 counts of wire fraud, a $2.2 million scheme. What does the indictment allege?
Well, what this was a scheme as alleged that was devised by the defendant to obtain money. And, I think it's really important to start off with, as always, that these are allegations and that he enjoys the presumption of innocence, and we should afford him that until such time as he's proven guilty or pleads guilty. But this is what we're saying here in this indictment is that the allegations are that essentially he weaponized people's compassion and took advantage of them. He created a sense of, and what I mean by weaponize his compassion, he played on the goodness that people, these 2 individuals had, by creating a sense of a series of false emergencies, fictional third parties. He claims that his family was in imminent danger. His mother had cancer. He was going to sell his organs to pay back loans. And other financial crises that were becoming of his family. And what that did was that got these 2 individuals to loan him money. And the allegations are that there was no intention to ever repay these, that these weren't actual emergencies, that these were all created to steal money, essentially.
Help us understand the extent of what was happening here. Was this only in West Virginia? Was this other places? How does this all come together? What does the depth look like in terms of the victims?
Yes, the 2 victims are located here in West Virginia. This is, as all of our cases, still an ongoing investigation, but these are what we know at the time.
The government's seeking forfeiture of $2.2 million here, Matt. Is that the amount he was able to allegedly coax out of these victims? What all entails that amount?
Yes, that's the amount that we feel confident that we can prove in a court of law, that it was at least $2.2 million. And as I just said, this is an ongoing investigation. It's possible that more could be uncovered.
What can you tell us in terms, without jeopardizing the investigation, obviously, of when this rose to the level of criminal suspect? So in other words, did the victims reach out to the FBI at some point? Did they reach out to the U.S. Attorney's Office and say, hey, we think something is happening, it's reached a certain point? What detail can you give us on that?
Yeah, this was generated by a referral from one of the victims coming forward to the FBI.
Talking to Matt Harvey, U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of West Virginia. Former WVU basketball player Kirk Creesa indicted on 5 federal wire fraud charges. He spent 1 season with the Mountaineers. That was 23-24. He's also played at Kentucky and Cincinnati. How difficult is a case like this, Matt, to build when you have money exchanging hands, multiple victims? How difficult is the case to build and ultimately present to a grand jury?
It takes a lot of groundwork by our partners at the FBI, and as well as our office working with them and the financial institutions and the other law enforcement partners that participate in these types of cases. Some are more difficult than others, but it's a lot of going through financial records, electronic communications, and just building the case that way and developing leads and evidence.
So Creesa was born in Estonia, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any reason to believe that this has international implications? Are there any ties that this was a syndicate that goes beyond the United States?
I really wouldn't prefer to comment on that at this time.
Matt Harvey joining us, U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of West Virginia. What's the process now? I believe Creesa has an initial appearance in Kentucky today.
Yeah, he does have a court hearing today. He might be back in the district today. I'll have to check my notes on that. He might have an initial appearance today, but however, whatever the timing is, he'll get back quick, and whether it's today or shortly thereafter, and then he'll be given his initial appearance where he'll be given his rights, and he'll sign counsel if that's necessary, if that hasn't already been done, and then a court date will be set. And I imagine it will be in relatively short course. Federal cases tend to be set rather quickly.
As the U.S. attorney in this case, what opinion will you take when it comes to bond by the judge? Is there any reason to deny? I mean, do you have a stance on that yet? What's your plan there? How does that work?
Well, it certainly, I think the factors that the judge will be interested in is the amount of the alleged scheme. Certainly, the fact that he's a foreign national from Estonia will be a factor in that as well. Whether he's a flight risk based on that, ties to the local community. I think all those are important considerations. And what's really important at that stage is to ensure that he's not a threat further to the community, and that he will appear for all of his court dates.
Matt, what's the alleged time frame that the fraud took place?
In the indictment, it says we believe that it began in sometime in 2022.
And went up until just recently?
Yes, till June. What's listed in the indictment is June 2nd, 2026.
So this was an ongoing. This isn't something that he had done. This was ongoing, at least according to the indictment. Allegedly, that he was continuing to try to get money from these victims, or are there other potential victims?
Again, it's an ongoing investigation, and that certainly could be a possibility as this case develops.
U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of West Virginia, Matt Harvey, former WVU basketball player Kirk Creesa, indicted on 5 federal wire fraud charges. And yes, it is an ongoing investigation. Matt, we appreciate it this morning. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll certainly be following this case.
Absolutely. Thanks, TJ. Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. We appreciate
Take
you.
care.
And again, as Matt is limited in what he can offer there, with this being a current investigation. According to court filings, Creesa has an initial appearance set for 1 o'clock in Lexington. And Metro News' Brad McElhinny tells us that the case has been reassigned to District Judge John Preston Bailey. at the direction of the court. So we will continue to follow that as that case builds and unfolds over the next weeks, months, and sometimes years when you're dealing with federal court. 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That's the phone number, 304-TALK-304. That is the text line. President Trump is in Turkey for a NATO summit. We'll talk to Fox News Radio's Jonathan Savage coming back.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now, you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun, secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world!
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
Have you forgotten the words you said to me? This guy, this glasses wearing, he's like, man, Dave Allen's been at it all day. No producer. And he says this to me while I'm actively producing Metro News Midday. So just to illustrate what it's like to not have a producer, Coop, why don't you take 5 for a second?
Hotline on Metro News Television.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
President Trump has arrived in Turkey for a 2-day NATO summit. Among the issues that are expected to come up at the summit are Trump's demands that NATO members increase their defense spending, the organization's support for Ukraine against Russia, and the U.S. war with Iran. Fox News Radio's Jonathan Savage is in Turkey for the NATO summit. He joins us this morning. Jonathan, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Appreciate you joining us. So President Trump has landed. What's the reception been like so far? What have the talks been like so far?
Well, he got a very warm reception when he got off the plane because he was greeted by his host, a man he called his friend, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And they've already been holding a meeting, and they spoke to journalists together. They are good allies. They are strong allies. President Trump says sometimes you get along with the toughest people like him. He praised Turkey for its loyalty to the United States, and he looks to be rewarding Turkey for its loyalty because he says he's planning to lift sanctions that were placed on Turkey. These sanctions were put in place when Turkey bought a Russian missile defense system. Turkey was also kicked out of the F-35 fighter jet program. Now it looks like the machinery is turning to allow Turkey to buy those U.S.-built fighter jets. Certainly, this is going to be probably the most smooth part of the next couple of days because a lot of the people who President Trump meets are not going to be quite so friendly, and he probably isn't going to be quite so fond of.
Looking at the live TikTok here on some of the sites, Jonathan, it looks like the president is once again talking about control of Greenland. I'm not sure that's going to go down well among NATO allies.
Gosh, it was right at the very end of his that would look like a kind of fireside chat where he sat next to the Turkish president and answered questions from journalists. Right at the very end, I can just imagine the other NATO leaders with their head in their hands saying, why did somebody have to ask him about Greenland? Because that was the moment when President Trump seemed most animated and lively. It was the moment where he seemed to be speaking, I suppose, most emotionally, perhaps. He said that is the issue that most hurts his relationship with NATO. He restated once again that Greenland should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark. He said, we don't have to spend any money. We could remove all our soldiers out of Europe, emphasizing how unhappy he was that he's not been given Greenland by Denmark or the people of Greenland. On the subject of removing soldiers out of Europe, the Pentagon is at the moment, it's conducting a sort of a survey or an evaluation of U.S. force posture in Europe. The anticipation, the expectation is that the United States military will conduct some sort of partial withdrawal or drawdown of forces on the European continent to focus elsewhere in the world. And that's probably something that's going to come up over the next couple of days as well.
Fox News Radio's Jonathan Savage. Jonathan, best case scenario outcome for the summit, worst case scenario?
Well, best case scenario is that the countries which last year said that they would increase their defense spending to 5%, will come up with solid, clear and concrete plans to do so and timescales to do so, which make President Trump happy and make Secretary General Mark Rutte happy. I think that is unlikely, given that many of the countries which said they are going to do it have not actually put in place plans which show exactly how they're going to do it. Mark Rutte wants clear, concrete and credible plans, and he says they have ways to force NATO members to put those plans into place. Best case scenario is everyone leaves happy and NATO comes out stronger.
President Trump, this is a quote, he said, and in a way, I was testing people. Jonathan, give us the context on that. What did he mean and who's he calling out there?
Oh, I must have missed that quote. He does test people quite a lot, I think, in terms of loyalty.
He's talking about Italy and Germany and France turning them down on Iran.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Yes. So he asked a lot of European countries for full support, NATO countries for full support with Operation Epic Fury. A lot of these countries were hesitant to give support to allow overflight, to allow the U.S. to launch attacking missions from military bases. Now, in the end, some countries did allow defensive missions from their bases, like the United Kingdom did, in order to take out Iranian missile systems that were threatening British and other allied interests in the Middle East. But some countries remained steadfastly opposed, like Spain, which vehemently opposed the war. Germany also vehemently opposed the war. Mark Rutte, the Secretary General, did say that several thousand U.S. flights did take off from NATO bases in Europe. But a lot of countries, President Trump thinks, did not pass loyalty tests that he has specified that he wants to see.
Fox News Radio's Jonathan Savage. Jonathan, about a minute before we let you go, I know it was, close to middle of the night over there, but Belgium smacked us around yesterday, man.
It was a 3 a.m. kickoff here in Turkey, so I didn't watch it.
You didn't miss much, Jonathan.
I woke up in the morning. I heard the U.S. defenders were sleeping as well. I woke up in the morning to find out what had happened. I sunk back into my pillow when I saw that result. I thought it would be a tough game. I thought the U.S. might have had what it takes. But it looks like they were soundly defeated. Back to the drawing board. See you again in 2030.
All right. I'm a free agent fan now. I mean, I could go England. I'm just saying, Jonathan. I could go that direction.
Well, I would warn you against going England because I'm Scottish and it's just simply not allowed.
Fox News Radio's
Well
Jonathan
said.
Savage. Jonathan, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate the update.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
That's great.
800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Text lines 304-TALK-304. That is the text line. Yeah, we don't even need to bring Ethan on for two good soccer minutes. No, we got smacked around yesterday.
Yeah. So my youngest daughter, Dave, has taken it, instead of calling it the U.S., she's taken to calling it West Virginia because of the singing of country roads.
Yeah, yeah.
And so last night when it went 4-1, she's like, I'll just turn it off, Dad. Just turn it off. She's like, West Virginia's done. I was like, honey, I was like, okay, never mind. But she didn't want to watch anymore after that.
Well, here's the good news. NFL minicamps are coming up here in a week or two, and then, football season's only, golly, it's less than 8 weeks away.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it seemed like a good run, though. I'm not a soccer guy, but it seemed like a good run. Right?
It was fun while it lasted. That was great. Football season right around the corner. Coming up, Brad McElhinny will join us. The state Supreme Court has agreed to take up a case involving churches when they leave or want to disassociate with a denomination. Who actually owns the building, the property, the pews? We'll talk to Brad about that case coming up in just a moment. 800-765-TALK and 304-TALK-304. That's the phone number. That's the text line. This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. Right now it is 10:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Selango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still watching the potential of some flooding, stream river flooding, and flash flooding here in the short term. Some areas locally in the eastern panhandle where there's still that flood watch for the potential of flooding from excessive rain with some of these storms. Timing is 3 p.m. to midnight for the next watch, and locally some areas had flash flood warnings that expired earlier this morning at 7:15 after listing 1.5 to 3 inches of rain that fell with some of those recent thunderstorms. Total over the next 5 days, we will have to time more likely rounds of rain. The highest numbers favor areas, higher elevations, and west of the Allegheny generally. So on top of, again, just another stretch of wet weather this week, I'm watching for rain. Marginal to slight risk of excessive rain today and tonight. This is for localized to scattered flash flooding potential. That's possible. And some isolated severe storms, too, generally east. Some isolated damaging winds with any storms that are possible today. Yesterday in Charleston, reported a high of 88 and a trace of rain officially in Charleston yesterday. If you have a break of the rain this morning, there may be some areas of dense fog again, and I'll watch for showers and storms to pop, isolated damaging winds, and some excessive rain with some of the higher rainfall rates here. Fly Zebra forecast, it starts at home. Washington, D.C., 86. Watching for a chance of showers and storms today. From panhandle to panhandle, highs low to mid-80s. Likely chance of showers and storms. To the east, again, some areas have a flood watch, 3 p.m. to midnight tonight. Remember, turn around, don't drown if any flooding pops up. From east to west here, highs 80s, some 70s up in the higher elevations, and to the west in the ranks, the 80s for most spots, as I'm watching chances of showers and storms. We may get a break in the long term on Monday. Until then, there is another front coming in from the northwest, very end of the week and the weekend, some more timing chances of showers and storms through at least Sunday.
This is Ben Selango with Selango Law. Selango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Selango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Selango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at selangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
We cook West Virginian food is how we like to phrase it.
I knew that every time I would hear a story, and I would hear the same story, but it never got old, about what this meant to the family and how it was served and how special it was to be put on the table.
304 Talk 304. That's the text line, 800-765-8255. Over in London and at Wimbledon, Coco Gauff just dispatched Jessica Pegula, the two Americans facing off in the quarterfinals. So Gauff on to the semifinals. See, we still got some international competition to keep our eye on.
How big a tennis guy are you?
I watch.
Do you?
Jen and I go play occasionally.
Okay.
She's much, much better at it than I am. As you might imagine, not exactly, renowned for my speed. But yeah, we'll go over to the courts. They're just down by the house. We'll walk over, go play to get a little exercise in. Believe it or not.
You ever play doubles? You guys play doubles with people?
She would never play. No, actually, I would never play doubles with her. I would never play with her.
Why?
Oh no, that would just end up, because I would hit one out, and then she would get upset, and she would miss one. I'd accidentally serve one into the back of her head, and it would never work out. TJ, know your limits.
I beamed my wife with a pickleball. My kids like to play. And we were down there, and I beamed her. I mean, right in the back. Yeah. It didn't end well.
Yeah. See, I avoid stuff like that. Try to avoid that.
Good for you.
Let me get a couple of texts in. 304 Talk 304. I thought it was Turkey, or was it Turkey now? However they were saying it in the World Cup. You remember a couple of weeks ago when U.S. played Turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not doing that. It's Turkey.
I'm a Boone County boy. It's Turkey. I mean,
Have you ever been around the people who've been to Spain and go, no, it's pronounced Barcelona? No, it's You're here. It's Barcelona.
Yeah, there was like some kind of. I was watching something the other day, and there was like this. How do I say this nicely? Ditzy little rich daddy's girl was doing her video, and I was like, nah, that's not how we do it here.
A couple more texts here. 304 Talk 304. The amount we're talking about, the Kirk Risa indictment. The amount is numbing for sure, but he's not a threat to the community. He deserves fair bond. He's not a flight risk. There are other limitations you can impose with a smaller bond, surrender his passport, and or a GPS tracker, says the texter. You know what? Well, we're moving on from that. How much NIL money did we give this Creasa, I'm sure. Along with Arizona, Kentucky, and Cincinnati, not enough, obviously, put him under the jail, says the texter. All right, more of the text coming up, 304 Talk 304. That is the text line. The phone number is 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Brad McElhinny has a story over at WVMetroNews.com. We were actually going to talk about this a little bit yesterday. Had to call a couple of audibles on yesterday's program. So, at core in this dispute is the West Virginia Conference of the United Methodist Church and 33 local congregations seeking to disaffiliate while retaining their property. So what happens when, said churches leave the denomination? Who owns the land, the building, the bank accounts? Well, the state Supreme Court may have an opportunity to weigh in. MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhinny breaks it down for us this morning. Brad, good morning.
Oh, hello. Good morning. Yes. And so this has been an evolving issue in West Virginia's court system and will likely come to a climax with oral arguments in the Supreme Court probably this fall. But it also has been sort of a bubbling issue at the legislative level because West Virginia has considered its own framework for how to deal with these situations and hasn't come up with a plan yet. So that to tout one of your guests here in the next hour. The issue is national, and it is that over the last decade or so, the United Methodist Church in America has loosened up its policies on issues of human sexuality. So recognizing same-sex marriage, allowing openly gay people to act as ordained clergy in individual churches that make that decision. That all led to a mass exodus across the country from the United Methodist Church. 25% of United Methodist congregations, more than 7,600, parting with the church through a framework that the church itself had to do so through 2023. After that, the church said, no more. We're if you have not left the barn already, you're going to stay. Some West Virginia churches, 33, are at this point trying to figure out how to do it. They disagree with those policies, but want to keep, the building, all of the stuff that you mentioned. They want to keep it local. But the church itself, the United Methodist Church, says, that's our property that we've supported, in many cases for years. In the court system, there's a separation of church and state issue. The judges generally have agreed that the First Amendment prevents the courts from getting involved in these kind of church property disputes. So the legislature is trying to figure out what, if anything, to do about it. The Supreme Court is now going to take up this issue probably this fall, and maybe we'll get some clarity from here on out.
Brad, I find this fascinating. Great piece. I spoke, I don't know, probably an hour and a half yesterday with a few friends that are pastors here in Charleston. They're not United Methodist pastors, but they have thoughts on this too. I think the entire church community is watching this because of the potential implications with the First Amendment. So talk a little bit about the history here. This went before, I believe, a court judge in Mercer County who said, yep, we can't do this because it's a First Amendment violation. Talk about, if you can, you have it in your piece, talk a little bit about why this is a First Amendment violation, or why he thought it was, at least that first judge did.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a few local judges in West Virginia that have had cases of this sort. Mm-hmm. And each of them initially said, this is a First Amendment issue, and the secular courts can't get involved in the way the churches run themselves. So initially in Mercer County, this was before Circuit Judge Ryan Flanagan. And last fall, he was on the path to dismissing the local church's claims, saying that the First Amendment and the ecclesiastical abstention doctrine prohibits civil courts from interfering in the internal governance, discipline, or religious law of hierarchical church. Judge Flanagan, for some reason, before the entire case was fully dismissed, wound up recusing himself. And it's kind of unclear why the recusal happened. But it went early this year to a new judge in the area, Mark Wills, who reinstated the case March 13th and gave greater consideration to claims of fraud that the local churches were levying. And the fraud has to do with, they feel like they were misled by this open window to transfer out. They thought that they were going to have the ability to continue to leave if they chose to do so. And before they made that decision, the wall went down, and they now feel stuck. And so they feel misled, and that's where that fraud allegation comes from. Judge Wills was more open to that argument, and had not really even had a hearing or had not allowed it to move forward yet, but was ready to, whereas his predecessor was ready to close it all down. When Judge Wills showed that he was willing to move forward with the fraud allegations, at that point, representatives of the United Methodist Church went and appealed to the state Supreme Court to say, look, precedent says that this is not the purview of the local courts. And sometime this fall, the justices of the West Virginia Supreme Court are going to consider whether the fraud allegation is a legitimate secular question for the court system versus the church running itself, which the other judges in the lower level have said, well, that's the church's business.
And we're going to talk to Kanawha County Delegate J.B. Akers coming up second hour. Brad, could you give us a brief, because we'll get into the detail with J.B., a brief recap? The legislature has attempted to deal with this issue, but has not been able to produce a consensus or any sort of legislation that can get through committee at this point. So what's the brief legislative history regarding this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's clear that Senator Akers believes this is a significant issue that merits some legislative consideration, but it's tough constitutionally if you're facing a First Amendment question. House Bill 4515 came up in the regular legislative session, and you didn't hear much about it. It's interesting, but you didn't hear much about it because it didn't go anywhere. It was in the Judiciary Committee. There were behind-the-scenes discussions judged to be a real conflict, but not really any outcome on how to deal with it. Didn't make it the rest of the way through the committee. So a couple of months ago, when the House had its own, without the Senate, interim meetings to discuss things like this, to explore policy, to talk about where do we go from here, the House Judiciary Committee in interim meetings did a couple of hours on this topic and heard from national level representatives of each side of the issue. And I didn't necessarily hear a clear outcome. Maybe Delegate Akers can, give us some hints about where it might go from here. But, to me, it opened up the possibility that we may hear about this again during the coming legislative session, and that, it's a significant enough conflict that both the court system and the legislative system in West Virginia are taking a look at it.
Here's what seems tricky to me, guys, and you can weigh in, the both of you, but the unintended consequences of this. So the Methodist Church is directly involved here. But this is where I was talking with some folks yesterday. If you open the door here in this kind of issue, are you really you're not limiting yourself to necessarily the Methodist Church. I mean, all of a sudden you could be opening the door to the Catholic denomination, the Presbyterian denomination, independent, non-denominational churches, and letting the government have a greater role than what it has already had in the whole church government, the overall organization of churches in this country. It just seems, Brad, like, yes, there's a short-term issue here that needs to be fixed. I don't want to dismiss that, but it seems like we could be opening ourselves up to a lot of other things here, despite what you talked about with the ecclesiastical provisions in the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's an area of consideration for Delegate Akers and others, because if you're trying to change state law, you may have ramifications that are unintended that would affect other churches and other hierarchies more broadly. So I think that's why they're giving this really careful consideration. There was some testimony in those interim meetings by representatives of the United Methodist Church to say that some of these local churches in West Virginia have quite small congregations, and there was a suggestion that if there were a move to leave the United Methodist Church, then if you're not there on a given Sunday, you may lose your chance to vote. You may be outvoted by just a very few other people. There could be people who come in and quickly become members of the church, and therefore they get a vote. So, all kinds of things where I think you got to sort of carefully tread on where you're going with this balance of power on who has the church property.
MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhinny, read his story at WVMetroNews.com. Brad, before we let you go, about a minute here. Because it's 2026, we have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court for everything now. What is Attorney General J.B. McCuskey now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to take up?
Well, the West Virginia Attorney General's office, fresh off a victory last week in the issue of transgender athletes and their participation on youth sports teams. A separate issue now talking about going to the Supreme Court. This is a long-standing, since 2019, class action lawsuit over how West Virginia runs its foster care system. Obviously has been a crisis for quite a while now. So the plaintiffs in this case are wanting particular improvements in a range of how the state runs the foster care system. It's bounced back and forth. U.S. District Judge Goodwin threw it out at one point, saying that the court system should have no direct say on how these matters are run. It should be the executive and legislative branches. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals disagreed and tossed it back into Goodwin's court, defending the state as the Attorney General's office. And before the case gets ramped back up in Judge Goodwin's district courtroom, the Attorney General's office says it intends to appeal to the Supreme Court. We'll see if the Supreme Court takes that case. I mean, I think it's a really interesting one, but the Supreme Court certainly doesn't have to take every case that comes across the desk.
MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhinny. Read the stories over at the website, wvmetronews.com. Brad, always appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks. Take care.
Take a break. Get some text, 304-TALK-304. Phone calls are always welcome at 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Jackpots are growing in West Virginia. Jackpots on the rise every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Powerball jackpots $434 million. Mega Millions jackpots $576 million. Go ahead. Play today.
When an injury slows you down, getting back to work safely matters. At WVU Medicine Outpatient Rehabilitation, we focus on helping you recover, rebuild strength, and get back to your life. With work conditioning and return-to-work programs, our occupational therapy team creates personalized plans focused on safety, function, and long-term success. Ask your provider for a referral or visit wvumedicine.org/outpatient rehab.
In West Virginia, community is everything. It's about showing up for each other. Vin Salango and the team at Salango Law don't just work here, they live here, proudly sponsoring local events and giving back to the neighborhoods they love. So when you're facing a serious injury, trust the local team that's always in your corner. They spent over 25 years fighting for West Virginia families. Salango Law. Get results, not excuses. Visit us at salangolaw.com.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Download Metro News Television on your iPhone or Android. Search Metro News Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
At Daniel's Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniel's is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discover tailored suits you'll only find in-store at Daniel's.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Text line is 304-TALK-304. Phone number is 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Going to talk to Will Hosaflook coming up. Top of next hour, he is the Jackson County School Superintendent. He's also president of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. They were having a news conference earlier this morning at Herbert Hoover High School announcing a new campaign to shed light on the positives, on the highlights of the public school system, the We Love Public Schools in West Virginia campaign We'll talk to him about that coming up second hour. J.B. Akers, Kanawha County delegate, going to stop by as well. 304 Talk 304 is the text line. Texter says, I agree with TJ 100%. None of this makes any sense to me. No one is making people stay at a particular church. The Methodist Church owns the properties and the buildings. If people want to separate from the Methodist Church, they need to go somewhere else. They can't stay in the same property unless they buy the building, if I understand things correctly, says the texter. Texter wants to know, does the Establishment Clause of the U.S. Constitution forbid what you are talking about?
Maybe. I mean, that's part of the issue here that Brad brought as well. It's not just the ecclesiastical provisions of the First Amendment. So maybe. Here's why I am on this, Dave. I feel bad for these local churches because they have put a lot of money in, I'm sure. They feel like it's their building. I'm worried about broader 10 years from now what the next issue is, that because this got kicked to the court and the court decided it, that now the court has a place in whatever issue comes next. I say keep this among the church.
304 Talk 304, that's the text line. Phone number is 800-765-TALK. Back to wrap up hour number one in a moment. This is Talkline from the Cove Insurance Studios.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
.com.
Text lines 304 Talk 304. Phone numbers 800-765-TALK. Will Hosaflook going to join us coming up here about 8 minutes from now. TJ, I saw this article and I thought of you, my man.
Okay.
This report actually came out about a week ago. I just saw it on News Nation, though. In 2025, global personal wealth rose by 10.8% in terms of the U.S. dollar, significantly outpacing growth in 2024. Wealth growth was strongest in Europe. Goes on. Adults in North America remain the wealthiest on average, with an average wealth per adult of $660,000. And the number of millionaires in the U.S. rose by 440,000 individuals in 2025. That was the most anywhere in the world. So something's working. Just saying. Something's working.
Time, compounding, getting in early. That's why I'm so passionate about this stuff in elementary school. You get a kid to start investing when they're 18. By the time they're 65, I promise you, they will be wealthy. Even if they don't make a huge sum of money, they will be wealthy. Compounding is a beautiful thing.
By the way, China, Japan, Germany, UK, France were the next in line for new millionaires created in 2025.
Send that to me, will you? I love to read that stuff.
Yeah, I'll send it your way. Let me see anything else to pull out of here. I see who's not mentioned. South Korea has led growth in real average wealth per adult across markets analyzed. How about that? South Korea.
That economy's on fire right now.
Yeah,
South Korea is doing good things.
See why I thought about you? This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Solango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still watching the potential of some flooding, stream river flooding and flash flooding here in the short term. Some areas locally in the eastern panhandle where there's still that flood watch for the potential of flooding from excessive rain with some of these storms. Timing is 3 p.m. to midnight for the next watch, and locally some areas had flash flood warnings that expired earlier this morning at 7:15 after listing 1.5 to 3 inches of rain that fell with some of those recent thunderstorms. Total over the next 5 days, we will have to time more likely rounds of rain. The highest numbers favor areas, higher elevations, and west of the Allegheny generally. So on top of, again, just another stretch of wet weather this week, I'm watching for rain. Marginal to slight risk of excessive rain today and tonight. This is for localized to scattered flash flooding potential that's possible. And some isolated severe storms too, generally east. Some isolated damaging winds with any storms that are possible today. Yesterday in Charleston, reported a high of 88 and a trace of rain officially in Charleston yesterday. If you have a break of the rain this morning, there may be some areas of dense fog again, and I'll watch for showers and storms to pop, isolated damaging winds, and some excessive rain with some of the higher rainfall rates here. Fly Zebra forecast, it starts at home. Washington, D.C., 86. Watching for a chance of showers and storms today. From panhandle to panhandle, highs low to mid-80s. Likely chance of showers and storms. To the east, again, some areas have a flood watch, 3 p.m. to midnight tonight. Remember, turn around, don't drown if any flooding pops up. From east to west here, highs 80s, some 70s up in the higher elevations, and to the west in the ranks, the 80s for most spots, as I'm watching chances of showers and storms. We may get a break in the long term on Monday. Until then, there is another front coming in from the northwest very end of the week and the weekend. Some more timing chances of showers and storms through at least Sunday.
This is Ben Solango with Solango Law. Solango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Solango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Solango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at solangolaw.com.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
MetroNews Talkline already in progress. Second hour. You know the phone number, 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. You can text the show at 304-TALK-304. Gang's all here. David Morgantown, TJ in Charleston. Ethan Collins is our radio producer today, and Jake Link handles the video stream. Those numbers, 800-765-TALK and 304-TALK-304. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk to J.B. Akers, Kanawha County Delegate, House Judiciary Committee Chairman. We'll get into the legislative questions regarding the churches leaving the denomination, who gets the property, what has the legislature attempted, and what questions remain. We'll get into that bottom of the hour. Also, 11 Marshall University student athletes involved in a lawsuit with the NCAA trying to get another year of eligibility. I'll get you some details on that. We're also following the sentencing in Mingo County this morning. Daniel Woods and Jack Carlson have made the trip to Mingo County for 32-year-old Timothy Kennedy's sentencing, and the latest from Wood County in that massive warehouse fire that is contained but is not out yet there in Parkersburg. 800-765-TALK and 304-TALK-304. Those are the numbers. Say good morning, TJ Meadows in Charleston. Good morning, TJ Meadows.
Good morning. Part of me wonders if the king of the Belgians picked up the phone this morning and called President Trump and said, overturn this.
I wouldn't have taken that. I'd have ignored. Just hit the ignore button on the phone. That's what I would have done.
Well, maybe.
He was in. President was in flight anyway, right? He would have been flying to Turkey early this morning.
Well, they have phones on this new Air Force One, don't they?
Like you would think. One would hope they have a phone or two up there. That would have been my excuse. Man, I was flying. Sorry, didn't get the call.
Sorry, couldn't do it.
304-TALK, 304, that's text line, 800-765-TALK, the phone number. The West Virginia Association of School Administrators met this morning at Herbert Hoover High School discussing the new I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign, aiming to celebrate the student, staff, families, and communities that make public education a cornerstone in the Mountain State. Friend of the program, Jackson County School Superintendent Will Hosaflook is the president of said Association of School Administrators. He joins us on MetroNews Talkline this morning. Will, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you coming on. What's behind this campaign, the I Love West Virginia Public Schools campaign?
Well, I think the overall theme is just we're not going to remain silent anymore. We offer so many opportunities in our schools, and so many great things are happening. The stories are not being told. Unfortunately, we have other alternative options that are being told, and we need to tell our story because we still believe, and we do believe, that public schools offers the opportunities for all children.
Will, were you speaking to the legislature and the governor this morning and asking for a wake-up call around school funding formula, et cetera? Was that part of the message?
I think that could be part of the underlying theme, and I know there have been meetings behind, or actually in the legislature here over the last couple of weeks, dealing with the school funding formula. But that's something that we addressed in this legislative session, and it unfortunately it fell to deaf ears. And I mean, and what people understand, we're in demographic crisis, and that's what I keep trying to tell everyone. Population is declining in West Virginia. The death rate exceeds the birth rate. So there's going to have to be drastic action to take place, or we'll continue to lose our communities, which, as we know, the public schools are the focal points of the communities. Public schools go, communities go. And unfortunately, it's very sad.
Well, are you facing the same type of enrollment cliff? We talked about this with regard to higher education a couple of years ago. WVU in particular facing an enrollment cliff where numbers are just going to kind of level off. People aren't having as many kids. There's not as many people in the state. Public schools facing that same type of enrollment cliff?
100%. I mean, I think the preliminary numbers, I think we're losing 5,000 more public education students this year for whatever reason, moving out of state, taking other alternative methods such as school choice options. But yes, that is a concern. That's a concern for everyone, and we need to have a seat at the table to try to figure this out.
As you and your fellow superintendents come together and you talk about that challenge, you talk about population, you talk about economic density, which is something I like to harp on all the time. In Jackson County, you guys are probably doing better than most. I mean, I'm sure you have challenges, but you're probably doing better than most. Some of these other counties, I don't want to call anybody out, but they've got 700, 800 kids in the county, which is basically the size of a small high school for most. How do you guys work together to overcome those challenges with the smaller counties?
Yeah. Well, we have a very strong association, and when I speak on behalf of the association, I want to make sure it involves the other 54 superintendents. I'm speaking on behalf of the other 54 superintendents, and we have a consistent message. I mean, there are a lot of bills that were brought forth in the legislature this year, but there were winners and there were losers. We want every county to be a winner, and there has to be compromise in that. We understand that a lot of districts struggle, especially those without excess levies. There are a couple of laws. I was on the phone last night at 10 o'clock with the superintendent talking about the P&I index, and she was going to have to add 18 jobs so she wouldn't be penalized $1.4 million, which is going to put her over the budget. And in
what's the P&I index? Sorry, what is that? What's the P&I index?
So that's a personnel index in the state aid formula, and I think it's like maybe step 8, and it talks about the population density. So you have to have a percentage of your instructional staff have to be like teachers, first administrators, and those small counties that do not have excess levies, they cannot hire those extra people. So if you are imbalanced in any way, you are penalized by the state. I don't want to say penalized; you just don't receive all the money, all the step 9 money.
Will, you just perfectly demonstrated. We're talking to Will Hosaflook, Jackson County School Superintendent, President of West Virginia Association of School Administrators. It's too complicated. Will, you just perfectly demonstrated why this whole thing needs to probably be reworked from the ground up. What'd you say? That was step 8 of the It's too complicated, Will.
I think it's step 8. Step 9. I'm pretty sure we do have 9 steps, and I think step 8 is when the local share is taken out. But all that's factored in one of those steps, and it's a certain percentage. You have sparse, low, medium, and high population densities, and that's how basically your personnel index is calculated from that. So the struggling, or the rural counties who have less population, they actually do, their index is a little bit higher, so they do actually get a little bit more staff. But it can be difficult, but the fix is not going to be easy. They have to look at a lot of different things to fix the formula.
I mean, Dave hit it, and I want to ask if you all as a group are willing to do this. Can we just strip it down to the studs, man? Because, I mean, it does not work. I mean, is that something that your group would advocate for? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, I mean, can we just start over?
And, and that's something that's been brought up many times in our association, but we have to have a seat at the table. It's one thing. I was at the legislature for 16 days this year. I saw you quite a bit down there on your show, and I was going by. And I worked hard, and it's just a matter of making everyone understand and getting the House and the Senate on the same side to say, hey, we need to look at different models, because what we have is not working with an increase in special needs children and the funding associated with the children to provide the correct services. I mean, you're looking at $150 million that we're taking out of our just our general budgets and excess levies to cover some of those costs.
Talking to Will Hosaflook, Jackson County School Superintendent. He's president of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. The association rolling out the I Love Public Schools campaign, aiming to celebrate student, staff, families, and the communities that make public education a cornerstone of the Mountain State. And Will, all of what we've talked about so far, the legislature's involved, their politics involved, but what you all can control is something like this campaign, and that is to highlight, because often we talk about what's going wrong. We like to talk about the negative, but highlight the positive that's going on in public schools across the state. And unless you are involved on a daily basis, or if you're someone like me who covers high school athletics a lot and you are exposed to it, you may not even be aware of some of the things that are going on in public schools across West Virginia.
No, and that is correct. And we try very hard, and we need to work on that. I mean, that's why we are launching this campaign. We need all 55 counties to be involved in this campaign. It's going to make a difference, because we are going to get the word out. There's a lot of misinformation out there coming from our elected officials, as well as other Facebook groups. There are a lot of misinformation that we just need to correct. I mean, you look at, and everyone says, oh, test scores. Well, look at our high school test scores. Let's say 38% proficient in math. People may not realize that's the SAT test. That's a college entrance exam. But what's not being told are 60% of the other students that didn't pass the test. They're NOCTI credentialed. They're industry credentialed. They're going to welding. They're going to welding school. They're going to electric school. They're doing things, and that's what's not being told. And I think it's important to tell that story.
Do you see this as a means, and would you be in favor of this? I've heard Paul Hardesty talk about we need to compete, and he seems to raise that flag and is willing to compete. That's a strong word, maybe not, but are you all willing to compete? Do you think that's a good strategy with these other options that you talk about that are out there as part of telling your story?
Well, I think both of you know me pretty well, and I never back down from a competition, because the goal is always to be number one. The goal is if you're not chasing the target, you're not in the front, and that's the way I always look at it. So yes, we want to compete. We definitely want to compete. However, we have to run 40 yards for the first down, and everyone else has to run 10. So we need to be on the level playing field, and it would be a very easy fix. We have a little charter school law, the public charter school law in the West Virginia Code. It's an 18 or 18A. Just give us that ability. Just wipe out all of 18A and just make it just like the charter schools.
Talking to Will,
we will be on an even playing field.
Talking to Will Hosaflook, Jackson County School Superintendent, President of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. Here is, I don't know if it's the catch-22, Will, but the hard part, how do you define success? If it's not test scores, or is it test scores or standardized testing? How do we define success in the public school system?
We talk about that. We talk about that quite a bit. I talk about it in my office. And I don't want to say success, but they say proficiency. What is proficiency? I mean, proficiency in high school is a D, because if you get straight Ds in high school, you pass. And unfortunately, some people, they don't know that, especially some of our elected officials. But that is proficiency. So how do you define that? I think everyone defines success differently. I mean, some people want to be in the top 5. Some people want to be in the top 10, and that's successful. Some people want to be number 1. I define success as being number 1, being the best we can, giving our all, and if we fail, guess what? We get back up and we try harder.
Will, help me understand 18A a little bit, because when you go just read the code 18A, you know, it's not that long, it's not that cumbersome, but I think what most people don't understand is all of the administrative law that is on the books that comes along as a result of 18A. Crystallize that a little bit for us. When you talk about repealing that so that you're on even keel with your competition, highlight that a little bit, elaborate, because I think most people that would just go read the code, I mean, they'd be like, okay, yeah, it's 20 pages, but it's not that bad. It's much more than that, right?
Most certainly. And what's hard to understand is once you take one section out of 18A, that affects probably 5 or 6 other sections. So that's what's hard about 18 and 18A, to be perfectly honest. I mean, when you strike one section, now you have to go back and strike a section in 18 that defines what a counselor is, that defines what a teacher is. But just the flexibility in making decisions at the local level as who to hire in some cases, or why do I have to move the teacher of the year? Why does the teacher of the year getting a RIF letter from me? Because
so local level, you can't decide who you want to hire at the local level because of 18A?
In some cases, that is correct. Number one, service personnel. If I had time to go through the service personnel law, we'd be here a long time. But service personnel, I mean, it is absolutely crazy what happens in service personnel. You could have a sub that works as a transportation, a bus driver for 10 years. For 10 years, and there's a job that comes open, that person is 4th or 3rd on the list of getting that bus driver position because all the bus drivers get a bid on it, and then all full-time service personnel get the bid on it, and then they get a chance to pass the test, and then it goes to the subs. So just little things like that, just it's very, I want to say, just a complicated process.
Will Hosaflook, he is the Jackson County School Superintendent, president of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. About a minute here, Will. What do you want to leave people with today as this campaign gets started?
Just keep your eyes and ears open, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, we had a very low voter turnout. Only 20% of 22% of the West Virginians voted the last election cycle. That means 80% didn't vote, or 78%. So there are a lot of voters out there that will be listening, especially when tax dollars are going to trampoline parks or going across state lines to Ohio. When you go across the bridge over there in Wheeling, it says we have hope in Ohio. Those things need to be addressed. We have to put guardrails on everything.
He's Will Hosaflook, Jackson County School Superintendent. Will, always appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take a break. Come back. Your thoughts at 304-TALK, 304-800-765-TALK. That's the text line. That's the phone number. This is Talkline from the Encove Insurance Studios.
For over 30 years, High Technology Foundation has been committed to building a stronger West Virginia. Our mission, economic diversification. By fostering innovation and supporting tech initiatives, we pave the way for a brighter future. From cutting-edge research to tech-driven solutions, we're transforming the landscape. Join us in creating opportunities and driving progress. Let's build a diverse economy together. Visit WVHTF.org. High Technology Foundation, shaping West Virginia's future. Are you ready to reach the finish line of retirement? At the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group, we provide comprehensive guidance for retirement planning in West Virginia. With years of experience, we'll draft a plan tailored for your unique goals. Whether you're just starting or nearing retirement, we make the process as simple as possible, easy, and stress-free. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike to set up a complimentary consultation and get started on your plan today. Let's work toward your dream retirement together.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world!
Text line is 304-TALK, 304-800-765-8255. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Free equipment, free installation, no contract, local customer support you can trust. Perfect for working from home, streaming, gaming, or, running a business. Fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects. 304-TALK, 304, that's the text line. J.B. Akers, Kanawha County Delegate, House Judiciary Committee Chairman, going to join us coming up bottom of the hour. If I heard Will right, these counties have to hire teachers because they have too many administrators under the ratio. Nothing about getting rid of administrators to achieve this ratio, says the texter. Smoke and mirrors from county superintendents. Yes, the SAT is the high school standardized test, but the West Virginia Department of Education sets the score for proficiency, and the West Virginia proficiency rate is pathetic, says the texter. 304-TALK, 304. I'll say it again. I will be willing to bet most of these kids are leaving the public school system because they cannot get a religious exemption for vaccines, says the texter.
I disagree. I disagree. What schools? I'm intimately involved in two different parochial schools in this valley. They do not grant religious exemptions. The Catholic schools do not grant exemptions for vaccines. So, maybe somewhere that I don't know about. You? I haven't heard of any of the parochial schools running up and saying, hey, come here because we won't make you be vaccinated.
I don't know where they're going, to be honest. No, I haven't heard that either. Another text, agree totally with Jackson County Superintendent, but Senate is so split on everything as a group, don't know if they can tackle school formula. Hope scholarship people have become own voting bloc. Many legislators fear them, says the texter. And therein lies the problem. I don't know if there's enough consensus in the state legislature to actually get something meaningful done. They couldn't get something that wasn't meaningful done last year. That would have been at least a gesture in the special needs bill that ultimately died in the Senate. I don't know if they've got the political juice to do it over on the Senate side. Maybe in the House. I don't know if they've got it over on the Senate side to get something, again, meaningful done. If we're talking about revamping the school aid formula, or we're talking about TJ completely starting over with 18A, you got to have some consensus building, and I just don't know that they have it among the Republican supermajority, especially over on the Senate side right now.
I'll tell you where I'm at with 18A. I took a look at the code, and then I've been trying to diligently go look at every administrative law that is filed in the state Secretary of State's office that stems from 18A. There are hundreds. of PDFs. I'm working my way through here to try to understand it. Here's the conclusion I came to as a guy that used to run businesses. If I were hamstring the way these superintendents are, I'd quit. Not worth it. I mean, you can't run a business that way. And like it or not, that's what this system is. It's a business. And I mean, the amount of code on this, I now know why that thing Paul Hardesty holds up looks like the Gutenberg Bible. I mean, it's just, I can't get through it.
And the other part of this equation, we've not talked about it, is what role the unions play in this. Because the unions have certainly had a hand in the teachers union, the school service personnel union, that Will was talking about, have had a hand in how the code is written. And this isn't just the last 10 years. This is the culmination of what? 100 years of laws and administrative code that have been added to what schools have to deal with now? That has to be part of the equation. I don't know where they stand on many of these topics.
No, I don't either, but I will say I think it crystallizes the position of it's not fair competition. I mean, if a charter school by definition doesn't have to subscribe to 18A, I mean, you have huge flexibility compared to those public schools that do. There's no denying that in my mind.
304-TALK 304. That's the text line. 800-765-TALK's the phone number. We'll talk to House of Delegates Judiciary Committee Chairman, Kanawha County Delegate J.B. Akers, going to join us coming up other side of the news break. More of your texts as well. This is Talkline on Metro News. Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. It is 11:30. Time to get a news update. Let's check in on the Metro News Radio Network, find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still watching the potential of some flooding, stream river flooding and flash flooding here in the short term. Some areas locally in the eastern panhandle where there's still that flood watch for the potential of flooding from excessive rain with some of these storms. Timing is 3 p.m. to midnight for the next watch, and locally some areas had flash flood warnings that expired earlier this morning at 7:15 after listing 1.5 to 3 inches of rain that fell with some of those recent thunderstorms. Total over the next 5 days, we will have to time more likely rounds of rain. The highest numbers favor areas, higher elevations, and west of the Allegheny generally. So on top of, again, just another stretch of wet weather this week, I'm watching for rain. Marginal to slight risk of excessive rain today and tonight. This is for localized to scattered flash flooding potential. That's possible. And some isolated severe storms, too, generally east. Some isolated damaging winds with any storms that are possible today. Yesterday in Charleston, reported a high of 88 and a trace of rain officially in Charleston yesterday. If you have a break of the rain this morning, there may be some areas of dense fog again, and I'll watch for showers and storms to pop, isolated damaging winds, and some excessive rain with some of the higher rainfall rates here. Fly Zebra forecast, it starts at home. Washington, D.C., 86. Watching for a chance of showers and storms today. From Panhandle to Panhandle, highs low to mid-80s. Likely chance of showers and storms. To the east, again, some areas have a flood watch, 3 p.m. to midnight tonight. Remember, turn around, don't drown if any flooding pops up. From east to west here, highs 80s, some 70s up in the higher elevations, and to the west in the ranks, the 80s for most spots, as I'm watching chances of showers and storms. We may get a break in the long term on Monday. Until then, there is another front coming in from the northwest very end of the week and the weekend, some more timing chances of showers and storms through at least Sunday.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
We cook West Virginian food is how we like to phrase it.
I knew that every time I would hear a story, and I would hear the same story, but it never got old, about what this meant to the family and how it was served and how special it was to be put on the table.
304-TALK. 304 is the text line. 800-765-TALK, the phone number. It may not feel like it with the rain in the forecast, but it is the dog days of summer, and you don't want to be left on the shore. So get ready with great deals on pontoon and fishing boats at Lewendell Marine Sales. Check out the entire inventory at LewendellMarineSales.com. Lewendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun. If you missed the earlier conversation with Brad McElhinny, catch it on the podcast. It'll be up a little bit later on. But we were discussing the question that the state Supreme Court is going to take up when a local congregation decides it wants to disassociate with the denomination. Who actually owns the church building, the property, the pews, et cetera, et cetera? Well, the state Supreme Court is going to take up that case. That's also a question that has come up with the legislature. In fact, there has been discussions, there have been bills that have been proposed that really haven't gotten a lot of momentum going. Joining us from the Charleston and Cove Insurance Studios this morning is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Kanawha County Delegate J.B. Akers. J.B., good morning. Good to talk to you again.
Good morning. How you doing up there, buddy? Hope no one has attacked you with a 2x4 lately.
You know what? Not
some
lately.
listeners won't get that reference. Yeah, some listeners won't get that reference.
Still got that shirt hanging up on the wall in the office, by the way. Just FYI.
I
JB, how's the legislature tried to address this issue? And we'll get into the should, but later. But how has the legislature tried to address this issue of who owns the church if the denomination decides or the congregation decides to disassociate?
We have addressed it very thoughtfully and carefully because, not to nerd out too much on the law, this is a legally very complex issue. To me, it's a very interesting issue. I mean, just looking at the history of this, and I'll say this as well, Dave, I probably got as many emails or phone calls on this particular issue during last session as just about anything else that we dealt with. It was a very, when Brad's story came out just a day or so ago, I was kind of surprised he put it out because we just had a House Center meeting on this back in May, and then this story came out, I guess probably because of the Supreme Court case. So some folks may have never seen this issue before and thought, what the heck is this all about? But during session, it was a very hotly debated issue among members as well. So it was something we took a very hard look at. I personally had several meetings on this in the House side. We had members, leaders of several church conferences and different disciplines come in. We met with them. We met with their lawyers. We met with lawyers and proponents on the other side of the issue who are more the congregational proponents, the people who are advocating for the individual congregations in this issue. I spent a heck of a lot of time on this personally, just trying to see what the solution is. And, there's some laws we passed that they're, quote unquote, easy, like we can make the speed limit whatever we want, aside from maybe the interstate.
You have police powers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you can make it 10 miles per hour or 65, or you can make it no speed limit. That's just a matter of policy. But on an issue like this, I did have some folks who contacted me and they said, hey, can you just do this, just pass a law? And I'm like, well, this one is not just a pass the law issue. This one gets very deeply entangled with the First Amendment and the Establishment Clause very quickly. And just so folks know as well, this is not a brand new issue. The first U.S. Supreme Court case I know of on this came out in 1871. It was Watson v. Jones, and it dealt with disaffiliation and church property disputes. So this has been going on for a very long time. And that case came out of Kentucky, and it predictably at the time dealt with some disputes that arose during the Civil War in church property disputes. And since then, there have been several other cases that have dealt with this issue, including in West Virginia. There's a case called Brady v. Reiner. And this disaffiliation issue that you guys are talking about today, it seems to mostly revolve around the Methodist Church in West Virginia. Not only the Methodist Church, this will affect every church potentially, but the Methodist Church in particular, which is the largest congregation in West Virginia. The Brady versus Reiner case, which is a 1973 case, so again, not a new issue. It also dealt with church property disputes. I would encourage anyone who has interest in this to actually look that case up and read it. It's a 41-page opinion, which is a little longer than the average opinion you get from the state Supreme Court. So they went into a very detailed history of the United Methodist Church in particular and church property disputes as well. And you'll see very quickly how legally complex this becomes because neither the legislature nor the courts really have the authority under our Constitution to direct how churches conduct their business.
Yes.
Got to be very careful with that. And that cuts both ways. I told some of our members who really were pushing the disaffiliation bill this session, I said, this is a sword that has two edges. if we start telling churches how to conduct their business in a way that we, quote unquote, agree with in this room, tomorrow there may be an issue that comes up that we disagree with and saying, hey, leave the government out of church business. So this is a tough one.
A lot to unpack. It seems to me that this has gone beyond ownership, and now it's a case of whether or not a fraud was committed. And maybe that's why it's different. But here's what I worry about. And I have sympathy for the issue with local congregations. They've put a lot into the building. They have a sense that it's theirs. They've invested. It's part of the community. I'm completely sympathetic, empathetic to that. Here's what I worry about. If we open the door here, JB, on this issue, who's to say that someone doesn't try to use this door being open to bring theological decisions into the realm of government oversight? I worry about what happens in 10 years or 20 years as a result of something like this more than I do now. Is that fair, or am I being hyperbolic?
It's totally fair, and that's, again, going back to 1871 and up till today, the courts that have reviewed this issue. And again, the legislature, we take an oath when we take office as legislators, and we're constrained by the other two branches of government to the extent that they're exercising their own powers. So the courts have defined for us what the First Amendment means in this context. So we have an obligation to try to fit our laws into that box, whatever it may be. And you're 100% right. And one thing the courts have told us, which I think any reasonable person would agree with, is we can make what are essentially neutral laws. We can define what contracts are, just normal contract principles, but we cannot as a legislature legislate church ideology. And there's also differences among the different disciplines as well, or the different types of congregations. So the Catholic Church is defined as an example, as a hierarchical structure. It's top down. The Pope makes the rules. The Vatican makes the rules.
Canon law.
And everyone knows that the local Catholic churches are owned by the Catholic Church as a whole. Then you have the more congregational structures, of which the Baptist Church is a good example of that, where sometimes the local congregation owns its property and always has. It was never deeded to any sort of hierarchical structure, and that those churches maybe would fall into a different discussion. But then you have something like the Methodist Church or sometimes the Presbyterian Church. They're kind of a mix of the two. They have a hierarchical structure with a larger governing body, but they also have some congregational control, and they're sort of a mixed bag. So but what we cannot do as a legislature is decide these issues based upon who we think the quote unquote true Methodists are, for example. So if they come into court and say, hey, we're the local congregation, we think the United Methodist Conference is no longer following church doctrine, that's something a judge is not allowed to decide.
Am I hearing you say it's best to let it lie? The legislature doesn't need to be here right now. Is that what you're saying? Or no?
Well, I mean, I think that we had a few ideas we kicked around last session. I think it was House Bill 4515 was the one that was discussed as a potential solution. That bill, I think, was unworkable. And by the end of session, we all agreed that was not the solution. No other state had passed a law like that before. And I think it probably would have been unconstitutional. That's just my guess. But there are cases right now that are in courts. That's one of the things we talked about was, should we wait and see what the courts do with these current cases that are pending? I think there is some wisdom in that, because you're right, some of these cases are alleging fraud. And that is one of the exceptions that we have seen to this, whether courts can get involved in these cases is, well, if you're not in here debating ideology or church discipline, you can still make allegations like, well, maybe the larger denomination or the congregational body or the controlling body committed some type of fraud against the local congregation. Maybe they lied to them about what the deed meant when the church property was transferred. Because a lot of these churches in West Virginia are older than the conference, like the Methodist Conference, like the building's older. And when they folded over into the United Methodist Conference, they then would deed the property sometimes over to the conference and say, well, now you're part of the Methodist Church. This church belongs to the Methodist Conference. But that didn't always happen. Some of these deeds are silent. So every individual case is also a little different.
How have other states dealt with this, or have other states dealt with this question, JB?
They have, and again, it's been dealt with different ways in different states. There were U.S. Supreme Court cases out of the state of Georgia back in the 1970s that looked at this, and they kind of set the tone for some of the law we have to abide by now. Currently, there's a lot of litigation on this issue in the state of Alabama, but what you're seeing for the most part is each individual congregation, if they have a court case, is being forced to litigate this individually against their local conference. And that's one of the things that congregations are trying to get around now is if they have to like a lot of these local congregations don't have many resources, if any at all. They can't afford to litigate this against their governing body individually. But if they can do it as a group, or if 10 or 20 or 30 of them can join forces and do it that way, they may have a better chance. So that's one of the things you've seen in West Virginia is I think some of the local congregations are trying to do this as a group versus attack it individually, which is what's mostly happening in the other states.
Let's game this out a little bit. So the court has agreed to hear it. They haven't had oral arguments yet.
No.
Okay. So that'll be the next step. What can the court do here? And depending on what they do, what's the next step for either counterparty on this? I mean, can this go to a circuit? Does it end up at the U.S. Supreme Court? I mean, let's look forward. How does this game out, do you think?
Well, depending upon what happens at the state Supreme Court, they could remand the case back to the circuit court and say, hey, we need some more information here. If there's been fraud alleged, we need to have more details about what the fraud was. Or they could say, decide that one party wins, the other wins. They could say, we don't think that a fraud claim applies in these cases, and this is really a church discipline debate, and we don't decide church discipline. Therefore, the church conference wins. I don't think they would make a determination at this stage that the congregations win. I think if the congregations were to prevail, it would have to go back to the circuit court and be fleshed out there. But if it were to get appealed from our state Supreme Court, the next step will be the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay, so no circuit.
This is not a federal court case. So it would go to the state Supreme or the U.S. Supreme Court, which not many of those cases wound up there. But this is one that could. There actually was a petition for certiorari, I think, on this issue within the past couple of years from a case somewhere else in the U.S., and the court declined to hear at that time. But there is a split among the states on how to handle this.
It's a tough question, JB. It seems to me you know the rules going in, don't you? Isn't there a de facto land contract already in place that the conference is in ownership of these properties? If you as a member of the congregation or a congregation, don't you know the rules prior to whatever decisions are being made? It seems like you're trying to, not you, but there's an attempt to change the rules midstream through some of this with these disassociations and so forth. The rules are already there, right? Or
I'll give you a good lawyer answer and say maybe. So again, if you're in the Catholic Church, I would say yes. If a local Catholic congregation tried to disaffiliate, I'd say, hey guys, you know better. The Catholic Church owns the local churches. But again, Dave, with some of these local congregations that preceded the history of the United Methodist Conference, again, I'm using this one because it's the most popular church at issue. Some of these local congregations, the building preceded the history of the United Methodist Conference. So then it's like, well, did you enter the United Methodist Conference, with full knowledge of what you were doing? Was the property deeded over? Did you hold this property in trust from the time you entered the United Methodist Conference? Did those things actually happen, or are the deeds silent? And you have to look at something else besides the actual legal documents, which is what the court is supposed to review. So the answer is not always clear.
I'm eager to see if the Catholic Church will file a brief in this, if they have a take. Because, they have a stake. Because, to your point, it's not just Methodist or the large non-denominational churches here in the state or the Baptists. I'm wondering if other denominations come in and say, hey, wait a minute here, Methodist Conference, before you set the rules for all of us, we want our say on this.
Well, they showed up, and they had the bishop of the Catholic Church in West Virginia, the diocese, Wheeling-Charleston Diocese. He came to one of our meetings and sat at the table with us, and they offered their opinion. So they have an interest in this. And we also had Episcopalians were at that meeting as well. So I think you're right. I think any of the mainline denominations are interested in the outcome here, and they should be. And again, I have a lot of sympathy, like you do, for the local congregations. A lot of these folks put their blood, sweat, and tears in this.
Absolutely.
These churches over the years. And these churches, the local churches, wouldn't exist but for their efforts. So at the end of the day, there has to be a question of what fundamental fairness is, and if we can fit that into the legal, duties and obligations we have as a legislature. And if we do that, that's what we should always strive for.
A good option for the legislature sometimes is nothing. That's always a good option sometimes, JB. I'm just throwing it out there.
Dave, I'll tell you what, I say no to people a lot more than I say yes as a committee chair.
It's supposed to work that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, we get thousands of bills introduced every year. So one of my jobs is to find a way to respectfully and tactfully tell people no most of the time. But this is one that you would be surprised how much interest there was in this during the session. And I had a lot of members approach me. And there was even some discussion from some folks about potentially trying to discharge this in the House floor. That was rolling around. I'm not telling you how much momentum that had, but that discussion was at least occurring. There were a few members who really wanted this discussion to come up and to be voted on. So,
J.B. Akers, Kanawha County Delegate, House Judiciary Committee Chairman. Always a pleasure to have you stop by, J.B. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys. Real quickly, another bill I had last session. I'm trying to get all the boards of educations consolidated and winnowed down. You guys talk about school funding formula. That's part of that discussion. I think we've got to finally resolve that issue as well on the county boards. We need less of those.
You bring up that topic with like 30 seconds to go in the segment?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to give you guys a little cliffhanger.
Which one is easier, to get the church issue solved or the Board of Education issue? Because I don't know the answer.
Neither. Yeah.
Right. JB, always appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
You guys are great. Thank you. Happy birthday, America.
Coming back, we'll get to some text, 304 Talk 304. Back in a moment. Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
Approach your retirement with confidence. With over 150 years of combined experience, the advisors of the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group provide advice and wealth management strategies to individuals, families, small businesses, professional offices, and institutions. With the Stike team, you'll have access to an advising team with extensive resources, a client-first mindset, and a passion for helping transform the lives of those we serve. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike today and join the team that's dedicated to your success.
Summer in West Virginia means open roads, blue skies, and endless possibilities. But if you don't have reliable wheels, getting to work or making it to a doctor's appointment can feel like an uphill climb. That's where Good News Mountaineer Garage comes in. We take donated vehicles, fix them up, and get them to fellow mountaineers who need them the most. This summer, let's keep our community moving. Donate a vehicle today by calling 866-GIVE-CAR or visit goodnewsmountaineergarage.org. Donate a car, change a life.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
I love the state of West Virginia. I've met some of my best friends. I'm excited to be back. I still have my pickup truck. I still have four-wheel drive. One of the ladies asked me in the forum if I know how to drive in the snow. I told her, oh yeah, I spent 5 years in Elkins.
See, that's one of those things. Now that you're coming to Fairmont, you've handled the Elkins winter.
Yeah, if you can handle Randolph County.
I mean, you're moving. This is basically coming back to Florida here when you get to Fairmont. I mean, this is easy.
It's going to be a breeze.
Sportsline on Metro News Television.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably Mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Quick update for you, as we have a habit of getting judges in trouble. Circuit Judge Tim Sweeney is asking the state Supreme Court to erase a disciplinary admonishment related to ethics charges, arguing his public campaign to fix Child Protective Services staffing crisis was an ethical duty, not misconduct. He was admonished in June 2025 after he ordered the Department of Human Services to officials to temporarily fill CPS roles in 5 counties. He spoke publicly about it in what he called critical understaffing. After he issued that order, the next day he called reporter Stephen Allen Adams and gave him a copy of the order and sat for an interview, which he said the buck stops here, and argued that somebody needs to stand up for the public, particularly the most vulnerable members of our community, the children. He followed up with interviews with yours truly, as well as West Virginia Record. He was later admonished, said he shouldn't have been talking to the media. Sweeney argues his case can't be treated differently than the one involving Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers, which also involved public comments about DHS handling of foster care and CPS staffing. So there's the latest on Judge Sweeney's admonishment with the JIC.
Hashtag free Sweeney. Hashtag free Akers.
304 Talk, 304 is the text line. Got to take our final break. Back to wrap it up in a moment.
Located in the heart of West Virginia, Bridgeport is the place to play. Endless indoor and outdoor recreation opportunities, including the Bridgeport Complex, coupled with a dynamic food scene, make Bridgeport the perfect getaway destination for couples and families. Explore unique shopping and pick from a wealth of lodging options to find something perfect for your needs. Explore the heart of West Virginia in Bridgeport. Learn more about all there is to do at greater-bridgeport.com.
Picture a community where every space tells a story. Those are the communities we're designing at ZMM Architects and Engineers. With a blend of creativity and technical expertise, we design spaces that inspire, innovate, and ignite change. From cutting-edge educational facilities to community-centric gathering spaces, we're committed to improving lives through design. Let us help you shape a brighter future for generations to come. Because at ZMM, it's more than architecture. It's about building your legacy.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now, you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun, secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Don't forget, Powerball jackpots $434 million, Mega Millions jackpots $576 million. Go ahead, play today. This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia.